Welcome to Cupcake Chats. This is your host, Jazan Azari, and today I wanted to touch on mental health. For May, it is recognized as Mental Illness Awareness Month, and after 2020, I'm sure all of us have a story to tell about our mental taking a toll. But for some more than others, it has always been an everyday struggle. And I feel like the judgment that the world naturally casts on those type of individuals makes it even worse. And sadly, many people in the black community don't necessarily get the help they need, whether it's placed out of their range financially or older individuals like the matriarchs in the family say, you just crazy, or you'll be okay, or it's a phase, you'll grow out of it. I feel like those practices have only hindered individuals that truly have a problem they need to help correct. And there's nothing wrong with admitting that you have a problem. Some problems are bigger than others. Some might take a couple months, some might take a couple years. But recognizing that you have a problem is the biggest step forward. And I feel like many individuals do not address their mental health as much because of the fear of judgment, because of what family or friends, why people care so much about others' opinions, who knows why. But, those are the fears that a lot of people have. Like me personally, I have friends that have been to therapy for such things. And, I have a pretty strong mental state for now as a 29-year-old individual, and being a black male, seeing the news can be scary, and seeing some of those situations can be even scarier, especially if I'm placed in one of those. But not everybody's going to be me, so I had to take a step back and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, with a new outlook. um it's just different for everybody. And some of my friends, they've been going to therapy for years. You know, People that I've dated go to therapy. I just never got the hype out of it until I went to therapy. I was asked by a friend to go with them to therapy in January, I think. February. It was February. And I see why people go. Like, everybody has that friend that they go to for advice and just spill their heart out. Like, that's how it feels. But being that designated friend for a lot of individuals, I'm kind of like the therapist of my friends. So I never actually grasp the understanding of actually needing therapy because I'm good at giving advice and helping people get through their problems. So it never really impacted me on that level until I stepped foot inside on that couch. And when I tell you, it really opens up your mind to different things. Like, the simplest question that they ask can have you pondering thoughts that you thought you had locked away or forgotten about. And then this different set of emotions that you probably never experienced, or that you haven't tapped into in forever, just rush forward. And I feel like the individuals that go to therapy frequently, I think that's very therapeutic. Like, yeah, you'll have your milestones and you'll celebrate, letting go of certain stresses in life. Then you'll have like some moments of, uncertainty where, it just, ooh, this is kind of hard to address. Maybe next session, hold back. You know, we all have those little pit stops in life. Everything's not going to be glamorous, but we make a way for it. I will say therapy is very needed. And I would love to get into that space as an individual. Like, I love giving back to other people. I'll give the shirt off my back. I've gone to the extent of helping paying people's bills, to like calm their sanity, especially last year. Like, a lot of people lost their footing, and sadly, a lot of people still haven't found their footing. And that has weighed on a lot of people's health mentally. Like, with so many people getting scared in the situations of, do I do I have somewhere to stay? And then factor in the people that have kids or family or somebody that lives with them, like an animal, their abuelas, like all of that can weigh on your mental. And if you are the designated person, like you're a single mother or you're the head of the household, or you're the bread winner for your family, losing your job last year and still trying to find a way to pay your bills crushed you in the extent of, wow, what do I do? And for starters, if you're listening to this, I commend you. That is not easy, because the way, and it's very saddening, but this is the life that we live in America. The world revolves around money. And when those bans were in place, well, hell, even when they weren't in place, people were still trying to get their money. Like, lords were just ruthless last year. I know you have a job to do. However, in that same breath, take a second, think about it. Wouldn't you want somebody to give you some slack, like to help get money together? Or if you didn't have a job, knowing that the world is going through a World War Z type situation, wouldn't you have an ounce of sympathy? You know, Last year really opened my eyes to a lot, and it made me focus more on mental health and ways to strengthening that. So every day I get up. I've been doing this for the last couple of years. I get up, that very first hour I get up, no phone. Don't care who you are, unless you're my mother or my father, I love you. However, anything outside of that, like, you're not on my favorites, your message is not coming through, nothing. I meditate for a whole hour once I get up, before I brush my teeth. Like, I sit in my little position and I channel nothing but good energy, because that is the only thing sometimes that helps me get through my day. And after last year, I need a little bit more time. So, sometimes it might be more than an hour, but I definitely have to stay away from my electronic devices, especially social media, because I think last year that created more harm than it did healing. Yes, it brought others together during situations where police were terrorizing citizens. However, in the same breath, a lot of people were locked away without roommates inside during the lockdown, already having a hard time trying to cope with not being outside. And on top of that, they had to sit, well, they chose to sit and watch other people play out their lives on social media. And that can be depressing. And that also can impact your mental health. So I challenge anybody listening to this, unplug. If you don't need your phone, don't use your phone. Like, yes, it's nice to see what your friends from high school and college are doing on social media. However, sometimes you just have to, unplug is not necessary. Like if it's not work related, unplug. And two, like me personally, my hardest thing that I had to deal with last year was staying home. Yes, I love to stay home. I'm a homebody. However, at the same time, I feel like staying home made me feel so much accessible. And that is something that I hate. Like people felt like they could hit me up any time of the day because I'm home. Just because I'm home doesn't mean I don't have to work. Unfortunately, as a publicist, I can work anywhere in the world as long as I have a pen, a notepad, a phone, a Wi-Fi signal, something to get out my message to outlets about my clients and whatnot. But other people started disrespecting my time, and I had to nicely put them in place like, hey, I'm working between this hour and that hour. Do not send me anything that is not life threatening between these hours, because I still, at the end of the day, sadly, was obligated to, carry out my duties so I could have an income coming in. And I had certain friends, it was kind of bad telling them that, but in the same breath, it's like, hey, I'm thankful to still have a job. I want to keep my job. Um, and I had to do what I had to do as an individual. And I unplugged. However, I found myself going longer hours being home because that whole entire insomnia started setting in that I used to have when I was like in college, staying up studying for exams and going and take the test right then. Like I felt that same type of anxiety weigh on me, and I could tell my mental state was changing. So I was like, "Ooh, I gotta step back. I gotta do something. I can't be going to bed at 3 a.m. and knowingly have to wake up at 6 o'clock to like work out and get my day started." Like that was a lot. And for me, it started going downhill in October. Like those long hours, I switched up my diet from being pescatarian to being vegan, and 20 days in, I crashed. Like I couldn't do it. My mental state was upside down, and I just had to unplug. I took 2 to 3 weeks, I can't remember, off from doing everything. I hit up my clients, was like, hey, this is an emergency. I can't do this right now. I'm going through a lot. 2020 is finally getting its hands on me at the end of the year, but it finally got its hands on me. She touched me and just slammed me against the wall and said, hey, sit your ass down. You need to take a break. And I did that. And I'm kind of thankful that happened, but then at the same time, I'm a believer of things happen for a reason. So this was my chance to, get life back together, let my mental kind of recover, let my body recover. Like people don't understand. Like the body has so many different functions, but once your mental state starts hitting a certain meter of like fatigue, it shuts down the rest of your body. So whatever you do, please, please, please just try to de-stress. Whether it's just going in a corner and saying a prayer, or just going for a run, listening to music for a certain amount of time, like taking a nap, getting into yoga, getting into some activity that just gets your mind off of anything stressful. I approve of it, because at the end of the day, if you don't make time to better yourself, you will not be good for anybody.